Today we got a good one for you guys. We got Dr. Lakeisha Gantt. Dr. Lakeisha Gantt. And she's running for mayor of Athens, Clark County, Georgia. Thank you, Miss Gantt, for coming on.
Thank you for the invite, Mr. Charles.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So, to a lot of our people out in the community, what I want to do is I want to introduce who Dr. Gantt is. Introduce who Dr. Gantt is, where you're from, and all the passion that you have in your voice for the community.
Okay. My name is Lakeisha, and most people that know me well just call me Keisha.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up here in Athens. I was actually born here in Athens, so you may remember General Hospital. I think it was General, and then it turned into Athens Regional.
Yeah.
And so I was born here, raised over in the Paldo community. Is no longer the Paldo community anymore. I was sharing yesterday that my mom was one of the last people to move out of Paldo when they redid it.
Yeah.
She
was the last one to move?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. I'm pretty sure she was. I mean, I have to check the housing authority records, but it was like a ghost town basically.
Okay.
And yeah, I went to Oglethorpe Elementary School, Clark Middle, and Bernie Harris. So we sort of split, I think, a year. And then Clark Central High School.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. How was it growing up? And I know because, I ran in Pardo. I stayed in Nottingham, so I was right up the street.
Not far.
Yeah. So how was it like growing up in Pardo back then?
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a lot of people don't know. I mean, we had back then, Pardo, Rock Spring, Bethlehem, all those areas, they were like low income places, right? And a lot of people don't know how was those areas back then. I mean, we see it now with the pretty flowers and all that stuff out, but how was it back then in Pardo?
Yeah. It was, it's interesting because how like when you grow up somewhere, you really don't see anything wrong with where you're growing up.
Oh no.
You know what I mean? So it was like a community, so I'll talk about the things that for me, it was a community.
Okay.
Where everybody knew everybody. Where if I needed to borrow something, or let's just say my grandma send us across the street to borrow something, we could. To me, it was like your regular housing community. We would play run bat in the back of my grandma's yard and Miss Gladys' yard, and I think, as I came of age, and probably even later after I left, you realize some of the things that really impacted your community. So some of the problems that were there, because I don't think it's any perfect community, at that time, I didn't really realize that those problems are influenced by, yes, internal forces, but also external things like politics, decisions.
Did you know anything about politics back then?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, I did not know anything about politics well into adulthood. Like not in the way that I'm learning now. And I didn't know what it meant for a community to be over policed. I just know that we were. I didn't have the term for it, I just knew sometimes we would like people would be barred from coming to their family members' houses and stuff like that. Yeah. I didn't realize like how inhumane that probably is. No, that it is. Yeah. But you just sort of like, such and such is barred, and okay, this person got into a fight, but you don't realize that any system, any community is impacted by its larger system.
Yes, ma'am.
For good or for bad. And so, but to me, it was, it was a community oftentimes that I know when I think about a lot of the housing communities now, people ride by them and you might be able to see in them, but you really can't see what really goes on, like the good things that happen.
And I think too that a lot of people don't understand that back in that era, you didn't have to have a whole bunch to be happy. You know what I'm saying? I remember a time with us, you know, living in Athens and moving to Chicago, then coming back to Athens. You know, we didn't have a whole bunch, but we had each other. And that's what made it doable.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was so much. At Christmas time, all of us might have got one toy, but guess what? We were so happy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So just family being together like that.
That's so true. Yeah, because I tell people, I don't even think I didn't know I was poor.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know it was like a bad, you know what I mean? Like how people sort of look down on people who have less. You know, I became aware of that as people told me I was, and you know, and you start to see differences, you know, outside of your neighborhood. But yeah, you're right.
So as far as you going through the schooling situation, you said Overthorpe. You went to Clark Middle.
Clark Middle, I feel like it was Clark Middle for 6th grade. And then we rezoned, something happened where the last 2 years I went to BHL.
Okay. That Bunny Harris.
Bernie Harris.
And Clark Central. Y'all hear that, Clark Central. Clark Central now.
The Clark Central.
So you graduated from Clark Central, and what type of education route did you go in when you left Clark Central?
So I went to Mercer University. But it is important for me to say, you know, I didn't really know I was going to college.
You didn't? So
probably
college went on your mind when you graduated?
Once I graduated, yes. But you know how like your senior year or junior year, like people are like, oh, where are you going to go? And where are you going to... Like, I literally decided to go to college, like, during my senior year, you know, and it was more like, what is college about? I think I want to go. And then I filled out a few applications, and it's like, oh, okay. And I remember my mom taking me down to see it was Miss Gardner or Miss Garner, but she helped me with financial aid, fill out my financial aid, because we didn't know how to, you know, we didn't know what that was, like a FAFSA. What in the world is a FAFSA?
Mercer was the only school that you like wanted to go to, or
no? I applied to I feel like I know I applied to a few others. One of those others was I think Georgia Southern.
That's down by Savannah. Yeah.
But I was like, that's too far.
They said I don't know. Now they saying that's like a party school. I don't
really?
know what it was back
I
then.
think it was back then too. But it was a lot of people. I felt like it was a lot of people going. I'm trying to think, did I apply to West Georgia or Georgia College? I applied to some others, but I felt I knew like a couple of people who were going to Mercer. And so I just ended up going with what was familiar. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. Did you, when you finished Mercer, what did you take? What did you take when you were?
Psychology.
Okay.
Okay. I took up psychology. I started off very rocky, but my major ended up being psychology. And it started off rocky because it was such an adjustment. Like the first 2 years at least, I didn't know. I mean, it was a big adjustment. I was missing home. I was trying to come home. My mama was working a full-time job.
That's your first major long time?
Yes. Yeah. And you know, she couldn't come get me every weekend just because I was to come home, and I was trying to find rides home, and it was, everything about it seemed so foreign. Okay. You know, like I didn't know what an advisor was.
Did you come to a point while you was away at college that you said, you know what, I don't want to do this. I want to just go back home.
Plenty. The whole first year or two, I was like, and especially the first year, I was like, yeah, no, this is not for me. I don't, you know, I missed home so much that I just was not able to focus. It started impacting my grades. And then that started like, okay, maybe I really don't belong here anyway. But then it's like, I don't want to be here anyway. So whatever, come get me. I want to come home.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I could, your mama probably crying when you left and all that. I mean, that's what mamas do though. That's what they do, man. So when you left Mercer, you went to the University of Georgia too, then?
I did. But when I left Mercer though, excuse me, when I left Mercer, I took a year off but I came back to Athens, but I slept on my grandma's sofa. She
What?
had she had a 1-bedroom apartment. I feel like it was 530 Paldo Street, maybe. And then my mama had an apartment, like almost sort of, you could see it across the street and like across the, green space, little green space. And so I stayed with my grandma. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Although early in my life, my grandma stayed up the hill, up the hill, what we call it. But at that time, I came back. I stayed on her sofa. I got my first.
You slept on the sofa for a year?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's all right, there.
I sure did. Yeah.
That's all right.
Slept on the sofa for a year. Then would go up my mama's house. If I needed, so it was literally from here to probably there. Where that tree is, so it wasn't far. And I was able to save money, and I applied to graduate school.
Okay.
And then shortly after that, I started after that year, I started graduate school, and I got married. And then moved and took a couple more years off after my master's, and then went back to Georgia as well to get my PhD.
So you are officially done with school now? You sure?
I am, but like
you don't got hooked on it now.
No. I like to think of myself as a lifelong learner, but yeah, I'm pretty. School can get pretty expensive. We paid back student loans and stuff like that. But I'm always interested in what can I learn?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I want to ask you. So, what made you decide you want to run for mayor in Athens? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the election is next year.
Yeah.
It's coming up real shortly. What made you? Because I know people just don't wake up in the morning and say, "Hey, I'm going to run for mayor." So, what made you decide to just? I think we got 4 candidates. I think we're gonna have 5, but from what I'm hearing. But what made you decide when you woke up, to say I'm gonna run for mayor?
It was a long process of thinking, of just trying to be prayerful, trying to really, really think on and be reflective of what the next steps were for me. But not just for me, for my family, because
right.
You cite, when I mentioned at some other conversation I had, when you do these things, your family, they are there with you, and they experience a lot of the things you experience. Mm-hmm. So I've spent many months thinking, reflecting, being prayerful, getting counsel, getting feedback from people that I know my heart, but also know me and my life, who also have sort of witnessed my experiences as I've developed into, I used to hesitate to use this word, but developed into a leader. Yeah. And obviously my family, talk to them. And so, but I knew that there was something else I needed to do. Okay. So it was like the what's next. And I will be honest, part of me was like, first, who would want to run for mayor? So that I was sort of fighting against that for a long time. I should be planning how I want to spend retirement, or which is a long ways off, but. Or where are we going to, what are we going to be doing during this phase of our life when we are empty nesters and all of these different things. And I just never, as a girl, I think I mentioned, I didn't even know what politics were. Mm-hmm. And I really don't remember ever knowing who the mayor was, as a little girl. And so, but it became apparent, it was sort of the same urgency and the same prompting that prompted me to run for school board. Mm-hmm. So after I'd been in our community for an extended period of time, I worked in schools, I knew that there was something else outside of schools impacting what happens in schools. Mm-hmm. And so I decided at that time, well, not at that time, it took me a long time, and I decided to run for school board. Well.
How long have you been with the school board?
7 years.
7 years? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. And so I'm into my second term.
Okay.
And so I knew, though, based on my work in schools, my work in communities, and now my work on the board, it became obvious that, even more obvious, we sort of know this, but our schools are a microcosm of what's happening in our community.
In the community,
They're just reflections of that.
Right.
And while, there are surely some things beyond like the Board of Education's control and things like that, but there is some impact and influence there. It became obvious that the next step for me was then to try to better the conditions that students are raised in, but not just students, but that families are having to exist in. So at that point, you're getting beyond schools. You're starting to look at what are the working conditions? What are the living conditions? You're getting into some of the issues that we see in our county. What are the living conditions? If a student comes to me, I'm just tossing this out there as a hypothetical, many, many years ago when I was in school or when I was working in schools, on the one hand, I can say, well, this student has nowhere to sleep tonight. But on the other hand, that started not being enough to say, how can we solve this right now? It's like, how can we create conditions where this is not so happening so often? Why is it that people are having to go hungry in a county that's so well resourced like Clark County? Why is it that people who want shelter or who want a safe place to be able to lay their heads and is this really where we are?
Yeah.
And so to me, I don't know that you can do this work separately. Mm-hmm. And at some point it is a natural sort of next step of okay, but we gotta have our eyes on the community. How do we make our community whole? And part of doing that is through our own individual work with each other and building a better community, a more connected sort of Athens. But it's also through leadership and politics and decisions.
I hate that politics pretty much shapes everything in our community. I hate to say it like that, but it's the truth. I hate that politics plays a major part in what goes on in our city, in our county, in our country. But that's just the way it is. But
yeah, you're right. I mean, it is. I'm learning. I still have a lot to learn.
And you like to learn. We already know that.
For years and years. It's a dirty job.
Yeah.
It's dirty, like behind the scenes, and it is it shows you how broken we are, but it can be very important work. And so it's very important that when people make decisions on who their leaders are, elected or not, but then when who their elected officials are, that they make that decision and they choose people that they know who's not going to be too far removed from the community, the struggles, the everyday struggles of the community. And it's important that they choose people who is able to sort of withstand the political pressure and do hard things, even if they have to lose something.
I personally think that in order to oversee a community or to lead the community, you must first get out in the community.
Got to.
How are you gonna make decisions for somebody in your district, for instance, if you don't even know your district?
Yeah.
Or you don't even, the mayor position, that would be the whole city.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How many times a week the individual that's running, how many times a week, a day, even before the candidacy came up, how many times have you actually been out in the community?
Yeah.
Not because you're running, but because you're trying to help a situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You don't know Miss Green that stay in apartment 6.
Yeah.
And you don't know Lisa that lost her job at the university. You don't know them people. Yeah. So how can you say that you're going to, not you in general, but how can a person say that they're going to be a mayor or a commissioner or whatever if they don't even know the community?
Yeah. I think the job, underneath, of course, being elected mayor, to me, what has to drive that person, and I think it's this way with school board too, although you end up running into families a bit more naturally,
Yeah,
you know, if you have like students in the schools and stuff like that. But part of the underlying goal should always be, how do I know my community better? And it's, you know, that should be a driving force. All this, it does not mean you're going to know 100% of the community, but that'll guide how you show up in your community.
Yeah, that's right.
And not just how do I know the people that I'm comfortable with better, but how do I just get to know who's here and who they are and what their needs are.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which brings me to this topic right here. Affordable housing. I got to hit that one first. That, to me, that is one of the main issues that need to be addressed in Athens. And like I was telling you earlier, is that to me, affordable housing look like something that people that making $13, $14, $15 an hour is able to afford.
Yeah.
Let's speak on affordable housing. What does it look like for you? And if you were the elected mayor, what would be your step for affordable housing?
So I think that affordable housing, one, we have to define it. Like, what are we talking about? In my mind, we're talking about, and I know this sounds like a very basic definition, but people need to be able to pay their rent and have money left. Yeah. I mean, you know, it just, that's just what I'm, you know, you need to have some money left. You don't want to, you know, having to pull from all of your other bills or rob Peter to pay Paul. So in its basic form, I think we have to define it, you know, and at this point, people ain't having money left. Now, a lot of that, some of that is influenced by just where we are, you know, like with the cost of things and stuff like that. But nevertheless, is where we are, and people they don't have money left. I think that I would love to see us focus on collaborations, but also with a stated goal of creating communities that are affordable. Not necessarily like 400 apartments or this new beautiful complex here that's a public-private partnership and 20 of the units are going to be affordable or 30 of the units are going to be affordable. I'm not saying that's important. It's a step, but it can't be the only step. I think we really need to begin like intentionally, not just exploring, because we'll do a lot of exploring, but we have to take a step to get people at the table who have done affordable housing in cities to say, what is this going to take? And it's not going to be a perfect plan. It's not going to be a perfect plan, but we need something to make a small step at a time. And then we need some type of like deliverable. Like we need to say, oh, you know what? By this time, this is what we are working towards having. I mentioned that affordable housing is something that's been unaffordable housing, I should say, has been something in the making for many, many, many years in Athens.
So what?
I mean, many years, you know.
So what is the problem? I mean, cause I'm just gonna be real with you. We don't have, outside of what Housing Authority provide for the community, we don't have nothing affordable, and it's going up every year.
I think that we are, I don't want to get too, we love power and money. I mean, it's sort of an element of human nature, right? Many people do. But it just has gotten unregulated. It's just, there's no balance. And so when you say what happened, I think a lot of things happen. When you start to see like a community like Athens and like slowly things start to develop, like, oh, well, we're going to buy this house, but we're going to fully tear it down and renovate it and build a little baby mansion. Or we're going to go over here in Newtown that's looking real good. Yeah, maybe let me buy up a couple of people's homes that have not paid their taxes, or let me build a couple of things there. Those things start to impact people. Again, and that's nothing against, people who are like fixing and flipping and all that. Well, I mean, yeah, actually maybe it is. But we don't understand that like one small decision like that, how it can like be, it can start like a sort of a trickle effect for a neighborhood. So in my mind, there are a couple of things. Like you asked, what would I do? What would I focus on? One is I think we have to have some type of infrastructure or funding. We got to explore that to help people stay in their homes first, especially elderly people.
We probably need to get more education going with that too.
Yes.
For the people that don't know. I mean, some people have got property that was, probably left to them from ancestors or whatever. And they don't, and I had a couple of instances where I had to help people get the funding for, I call historic Athens or these other places, and help them get the funding to either get the place fixed up or help them pay the property taxes on it or whatever to keep them from losing it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that probably with that issue, we probably need to get more education out there going for that. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Because some people just don't know.
They don't. And sometimes, once something has been passed down so many generations, especially let's just say the person is not here, it's really not that much investment. They're just like, oh, well, okay, they're going to offer me $50,000. I'm never going back to Athens, and it's like, but what I would like to see, like, as far as like, I think we have to figure out how do we, when you're addressing a problem like this, part of it is like, how do you stop the bleed itself first? And I do think that's being able to help support vulnerable individuals who might be at risk of losing their homes first. And like you said, education is important, figuring out what type of funding or opportunities might be out there. But I also think too, helping communities understand like a vision. What do we do if Auntie's house has been passed down 3 generations? My cousins are never coming back here and they don't really care. How do we mobilize our own community to be prepared to purchase property? And that's that's a bit outside of the wheelhouse of the mayor, but I'm just, because we're talking about real issues here and other people are listening, like, we need to be trying to figure out like, well, how do we then stabilize this? It is disheartening when there's a property up for sale and we have we have a lot of people here that struggle, but we have a small but mighty core groups of people that have resources, but they won't step in and say, yes, it's just one house, but it's one more house added to the inventory of affordable housing that we can have here. We won't do that.
I hate to say this, and I probably shouldn't say this, but a lot of times people would rather see you lose than the game. I mean, that's just how some people mind work. So if I know Lakeisha's finna lose her auntie house, and I know somebody that'll help Lakeisha keep this house,
we're not finna say it.
I'm not finna tell you. I mean, I'm not finna tell you. Why I'm not gonna tell you? Is it because I dislike you? No, I just don't want. I want to see you lose. I mean, that's the mind frame of some people now, and that's wrong. How can you go to church every Sunday or pray to God or whoever your God is, and you want to see somebody lose? I mean, I just don't get it.
But to also, Mr. Charles, say, thirdly, with affordable housing, we got to turn our attention to communities, larger scale numbers, public housing efforts and collaboratives. We can say, hey, we need a community that is 50 homes that are affordable, that are 25 that are, like chunks,
I just can't get it. We got a commission bigger than Fulton County. Fulton County has 7 commissioners, right? Fulton County is bigger than Athens, the smallest county in Georgia. But we got 10 commissioners here, right? And it's just amazing that out of 10 people, and ain't no shade toward the commission. If they don't know, they just don't know. If the mayor don't know, he just don't know. But why does it take so many? We have no clue what to do.
Yeah.
Like you said, go to some of these towns that have affordable housing. I mean, they always taking trips and going other places. So go talk to Andre up in Atlanta. Go to places and talk to these other men and say, what was your, like I just noticed
exactly
in Atlanta, they just bought a complex. They bought a hotel, old hotel, and now they finna renovate it into affordable housing. You know what I'm saying? And we done had multiple hotels down here in Athens that was empty.
That's right.
Why we couldn't and we had COVID money then. So why we couldn't step in and say, hey, let's buy this old Holiday Inn or whatever and renovate it for affordable housing? We didn't do that. Instead, we built because
people who need affordable housing and people who don't have places to live and people who fill in the blank, you know, those aren't the people that tend to have the most, they don't have our ear. They don't have our, I want to be honest, as a lot of politics is about pressure and it's about power. And sometimes it's about who has the loudest voice, the biggest pocket, or the most influence. And in politics, sometimes you have to make decisions based on the people that have the quietest voice, meaning that they're not going to be at the commission meetings or the school board meetings. You have to go and find them or say, hey, tell me what you think about this policy, or tell me. So there's no like, what do you call it? Like when there's no like flashiness. There's not a lot to gain sometimes when you're making decisions for people who other people have forgotten about.
Which brings me to my favorite subject, homelessness. As you know, I'm quite sure you keep up with this stuff as well as I do, even just in the school system. As you know, we got a homeless population in Athens that have grown way out of control, like way out of control. Every twice a week, I'm always out in the community, working with my homeless individual, and I'm seeing it seems like I see different people every week that I'm out there. Every week that I'm out there, I'm seeing different people. What is your solution to how we can fix that? Even with the school system. I mean, you're in the school board now. So even with the school system, I know, and I have counselors and everybody come. Y'all got a growing homeless problem just with the kids in the school system. So what are your solutions? What would you like to happen as far as when it comes to getting people out the street and just getting them safe and stable?
Yeah. So people in general, I don't see, it's interesting because I don't think we have to for the sake of defining it. But when we look at housing issues, I don't think we can just pull out like homelessness is its own thing, yes. But we shouldn't just be thinking like, well, how do we keep people in their homes, right? Yes, that's one thing. How do we build more communities? That's another thing, like affordable housing. But I also think we have to look at individuals that are unhoused. One is a part of our community. And so as we're talking about like, how do we build more affordable housing? We need to be speaking with those individuals and communities as well. I know that people are different, and like you can't take one group of people and say everybody is the same. But we need to be having those conversations. Like, what is it that you need? And not just, and I don't mean like by doing another study and study after, but like, what is it that you need? We don't necessarily have a lot of, I don't think we have any, I could be wrong, but like sort of like almost like a, not emergency, but like a respite. Let's just say if someone finds themselves homeless today, and it might not always be that way, but like they're just trying to figure out what in the world just happened, what I need to do. Right now, we don't have a respite as far as like a building or a facility to say, hey, this is going to be a respite. In fact, let's just say if we don't have a building, Mr. Charles, we don't even have, let's just say low hanging, like we have to build a building. We don't even necessarily, has not even necessarily been a call. And I don't mean like a call from like the organizations, but to say collectively, y'all, We got about 60, I'm throwing this out there. We got 60 people that need respite right now. What incentives can we offer people that have 2 bedrooms that are unused in their homes? Right? And I don't know if it's monetary incentives, but I don't even know that we're exploring the options for people, and not just respite for homelessness, respite for mental health, respite for kids that enter into foster care. There is not only is there not a building, but I think our community as a whole, we're not saying, how do we build a connected community? Okay, Lakeisha, you giving this as an example, because I don't want to point out a particular church. Lakeisha, you're the pastor of Lexington Road Baptist Church. Now, Lexington Road Baptist Church, I was notified by the mayor or the commission or someone that we got right now 20 children that have nowhere to go because their families have nowhere to go, or maybe their mom has somewhere to go, but they told them they can't bring the kids. Do we have 20 members that have extra space? And that seems little, Mr. Charles, but it's going to take both big steps and little steps to try to tackle homelessness, affordable housing, and keeping people in their homes.
So I want to point this out right here, because this is something, and I've been working with homeless people for 11 years, over 11 years now. So I want to point this out right here. In my time of working with the homeless population, I have noticed that we have individuals that have been in the woods for years, that's been homeless for years, right? And while anybody with a sensible mind would love to have a nice place to stay in, right? Don't get me wrong. But if that individual rejects that nice place to live, you got to think, and you're a doctor, so you know this, you got to think there's something mental going on there. What individual will want to be out in the woods like a caveman with no responsibility, no life or whatever for the rest of their life? Nobody, right? So you got to understand, as a doctor, you know this, that there's something mental might be going on there. And I said it to say, you can't just pull every individual off the street. And I know this, I'm telling you, I know this. You cannot pull every individual off the street and stick them in a place to stay. Even if you had 15 houses right now for 15 individuals that's homeless. Everybody's not ready for that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying mental wise, they're not ready for that. It's so much other stuff goes into play when you're doing that. You know what I'm saying? They got to learn how to work a microwave again, or they might have a drug addiction for, you know what I'm saying? It's so much other stuff coming into play. So we can't overlook those individuals. You said get them a place to stay, like a building. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's an awesome idea, because then, and that's what we were, we working on that, because you was at our meeting. Me and Evans and some more people, we are working on that, because that is the key. We're putting all the wraparound services in this building. So if they got a mental health problem, okay, Advantage's on site. If they got a social security problem, we got somebody on site. I think you got to and that's how I did it with the encampment. You got to let them work their way out of that. Because everybody just, now, Tom and Jerry that just got evicted last week, they can bounce back. They've been living. Sure,
they may be, yeah.
They can go and bounce in another apartment tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But what about Bobby that been out of touch with the real world for a couple of months or a year, a couple of years or whatever? He can't just bounce into no apartment. He'll be there probably 30 days, and you'll go over there, he'll either be gone or he's not able to pay his rent because he's not comprehending. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I feel. But we got to, we're not going to stop. I'm quite sure coming from Pardo, and I know this because I stayed on Water Street too, and that's where Martin Luther King now. So, that's you don't remember Water Street?
No, I remember MLK, but
you better tighten up. Hey, look, Water Street is MLK. It used to be called Water Street.
Oh, no. Okay.
And look, I remember homeless people when I was a little boy walking that same street. So you're not going to be able, Dr. Gantt, to cure this problem.
Right.
You're not going to be able to cure this problem, but we can cure the fact if they're being brought here because we got these outstanding homeless services here, we need to hold whoever bringing them or wherever they coming from. We need to hold that city accountable for helping us get them the services that they need.
Sure.
You feel what I'm saying?
I don't think there's anything wrong with asking and saying, hey,
Yeah,
this is what we're noticing about, the individuals that are needing services. Can you all help financially, or can you any other ways to be able to help serve those individuals? But I think you're right,
And I think that's where you come in. That's what the person sitting. I ain't throwing no shade to nobody, but this is where it comes to play. Where our mayor, whoever our mayor is, whether it's Kelly Girls or to whoever it is, the mayor reach out to those current cities. If I call you and say, "Hey, Mayor Gantt, I got 15 people that were dropped off from Elberton, Georgia. What do I do? Could you contact their mayor and ask their mayor, can they? Yeah. If not, then what do we do?
Yeah.
You got to be able to. If you the mayor, you got to be able to connect with those mayors from those surrounding counties, cities. Because I see people from Monroe now. Madison County, Gwinnett. A pastor called me from Gwinnett the other day. Said, "Hey, Charles, look, I got a home." So, do I tell you, Mayor Gantt, could you please call their mayor and say, "Hey, look, their police department just brought me 3 individuals," and this used to happen to me when I had the encampment. I got 3 individual police bringing me 3 individuals from Everton. Could you call their mayor and ask them, could they help us with funding and get these people help? You know what I'm saying? Do you overlook that, or do you just say, "Well, y'all figure it out"?
No, I definitely don't think you overlook it. I think if you can build in a process for when that happens. Now, it's not ideal. It is not ideal for counties, I need to say this, to be bringing individuals to Clark County.
Is it against the law?
Oh, is it?
So I think they came out with a bill, and don't quote me on this, but I think they came out with a bill. I think Mr. Gaines, Houston Gaines introduced it, but I think they came out with a bill now that's saying if they bring, they need to be held accountable. That next city need to be held accountable. So
it's not, excuse me, and I'm sorry, I'm just eating some candy to keep my throat. But it's not ideal. And this leads to something else, but it's related to this. Everybody wants to be in Athens, right? We're going to bring people, unhoused people here. We're going to bring people, people who have retired. Athens is this great place to be. We need to be focusing on, the people that are here.
That are already here.
Yeah. I'm not going to qualify that. We need to focus on the people who are here.
And mind you, I want to say this. Mind you, I don't have no problem whatsoever if they came from Canada to Athens. Because if you look at it, we house thousands of students at the University of Georgia that is not from Athens. They don't live here. But do we treat them we don't supposed to treat them like an outcast? Exactly. So if we're not treating the student that don't live here like outcast, why would we stoop low and treat the homeless person?
No, I agree with that.
You know what I'm saying? So I treat everybody the same. Yeah. I don't care what color you is or what you believe in. If you need help, I believe you need help. But if you coming from out of town, I think that we still should reach out to that town and say,
yes,
let us get some help. Saying.
Yeah. And it's when we start a lot of development and a lot of conversations with housing, end up somewhere you will hear along in that conversation that, Athens is the top places people want to retire. And it's so when I say we need to focus on the people that are here, that I want to clarify, that is what I'm talking about. Is there may be many people that are well resourced that want to come to Athens. But the truth is we still have people here that don't have, they are very close to being put out of their homes. They are, they may not be able to afford their taxes. They may be unhoused. And this is not even, we haven't even touched on our immigrant population. Although that, I don't want to even be misleading. It's not, We don't have this sort of like this influx. But what I'm saying is, like, we have people here that we really need to prioritize their humanity. We need to prioritize resources, and we need to make concrete plans to build better, like from infrastructure to buildings or the services.
Mm-hmm.
That's where our focus needs to be, so that we can have a healthier community.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I'm just gonna tell you, I can talk about homeless all that. That's my passion. I love when it comes to kids and homeless individuals. Those are to me, the most vulnerable people that's out there right now. So I can talk about those all day. But I want to move to something else. Out of the other 3 candidates that's running, right? What sets you apart from them? I mean, cause we're gonna all eventually hear everybody's story, not story, they plans on how they want to move our city forward, right? But Dr. Gantt, we want to know what sets you apart from them.
Yeah, I think that so there's a part of this that I think is very important for voters to be able to determine. They should get to know every candidate. And I think you make the decision based on the candidate, not just the candidate who is going to tackle your issue, but the candidate that you feel is going to be courageous enough to tackle issues that are going to help the most vulnerable individuals. You select the candidate that is not far removed, that is connected to the everyday realities of people. And I don't mean the everyday realities of people that are well resourced. But I think that's important, and I think I bring that. I've been a part of a governance team. I've had to be the leader of that governance team. We had a very good governance team, but before we got there, we had some pretty significant struggles. And if your governance team struggles, you can just about forget making like even small targeted steps towards a goal, because it already moves slow anyway. And you add that in there, then it's the same people that continue to suffer. And so I believe I'm connected to the community in a way that is honestly, this is a community that grew me, that raised me. And so there's a passion and an urgency that I have for this community, because I know that my family is here. My friends are here. Some of the same people that were over police with me, their families are here. These things impact them. And so I am sort of the community. It's not the easiest thing to do, but I have had to make hard decisions. And sometimes those hard decisions might not be the most popular. And so I've built a capacity for risk of not being popular and losing the popularity contest. And then thirdly, this is not something that you have to select a person that, whether they win or lose, that they're still going to be committed to taking up the purposes of the people in our community. Not always the loudest person. And so I strongly believe that that's what my campaign is doing. We are organizing and mobilizing in a way that, regardless of who's in that seat, that we can engage people who normally don't feel that their voices are heard, and that we can have tangible things so that they can keep moving with that.
Okay. Moving to this next subject, I want to ask you.
Okay.
How do you feel about the gang activity? The gang activity in Athens. I'm quite sure you're familiar with it. I mean, we hear it and see it all the time throughout social media, newspaper news, or whatever. And then what our fire department and our police department is doing. So I guess, and that's 3 in 1, really. But I want to first the police department. How do you feel about the police department and the type things that going on? I see a lot of positive stuff with the police department. Of course, they have made some mistakes in the past, but I see a lot of good stuff that they're doing now. If you could change anything dealing with the police department, what would it be?
I think that, well,
I might need to say the criminal justice system.
Oh, okay, yeah. Whoa.
Instead of police department. I see the change, and the reason why I don't want to say the police, I want to say the criminal justice versus police department. Because the police department seems like now they're getting up to speed on the positive thing. I mean, I see a lot of positive stuff. Even the police department and the sheriff department, I see a lot of positive stuff they pointing out. And because we both from Athens, we didn't see that back in the day.
No.
We didn't. The Halloween, the popsicle pass out. We didn't see that type of stuff. So it seems like now they're getting more in tune with our community. But as far as with the criminal justice system, if you could change anything with that.
So I like to see systems, although many of them are not. But yes, so there have been positive steps. But I like to see our systems, they take initiative. Like, don't get in tune with what needs to be done because there's pressure. Get in tune with what needs to be done because you know that that's the right thing to do. Exactly. So there's that. I think we have a criminal justice system. I think it's maybe a variety of different criminal justice systems that are realities for different people. I think a person who is poor that goes through our criminal justice system has a just qualitatively different experience than a person who is well-resourced. I think people of color, and I would go on to say, and, Black people that go through the criminal justice system are, they have qualitatively different experiences. And until we get to a point where we can acknowledge that, acknowledging it is simply, it's hard to fix what you don't acknowledge and you can't pinpoint. And I don't know that we've gotten there yet when you look at the different parts of our criminal justice system. And so when we're doing these things, they are great. And we should be working towards reform for a larger system that is working to decrease these disparities. And merging a system so that people who go through our system don't have such different experiences. Otherwise, we're just doing things that make us feel good.
And this been going on as far as with the criminal justice, and it ain't just a problem in Athens, it's a problem nationwide, really. And people want to overlook the fact that Blacks are not treated the same in the criminal. We're not. I'm telling you, we're not.
We're not. And I think what happens is people start to take it personally. There are a few things you can say to people and it just really rattles them. And for some reason in our community, we not just in our community, but other communities, we cannot conceive, we just can't really understand the fact that we would create a system that targets people because they are poor. And it's no, we do. Yes, we can say there's individual responsibility, and that is true. Ultimately, all of us are going to make our day-to-day decisions, but things that happen to us matter. And so my thoughts about the criminal justice system is that there are a lot of people that make up that system. And until we work collectively and say, you know what? How do we really reform this? Right? Yes, it's great that, they get to come and get candy, and it's great. Those things are not small things. They are important. It's important for communities to see police. When I was a little, the ones we saw, they would, other than, it was a few of them that were really nice and community policing, but other ones were over policing us, telling us we can't stand on the sidewalk or you got to go on your mama's porch. So it is important for people, for kids and families to see that. But what I'm saying is that that's not enough. It's not enough. And we have to get serious about saying that's not enough, that we want to be sure that we preserve people's humanity. And when a person is in a jail for 10 months because they don't have bail money, that's inhumane. When a person is brought, have you ever seen our cells in the courthouse where, like, I'm assuming, because I think with all the issues with the courthouse, I did a tour. It's been a while, but you saw the holding cell, but also the holding cell for kids. We have better facilities for pets.
Is it that bad? I ain't seen it probably in 50, well,
It's
30 years.
It's just the idea that I'm going to put this amount of people in this small cell while they wait. And yes, I know we need maybe better facilities, right? That's a very old building. So that's not to discount any of that. But I guess, I don't know, you're getting me on a tangent that I care a lot about, because I feel that we forget about people that are incarcerated. We forget about people that are unhoused, and because it makes us feel better, it doesn't create this sort of dissonance or discomfort. And if they're out of sight, we forget that what's happening with them is important.
And that make me feel good to hear you say that, because I personally even now today, I still communicate with a lot of people that's inside of the prison system, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of my people from Athens and outside of Athens, mm-hmm. But I see the struggle with them, and I was telling you earlier, it's a lot of people inside of the prison system that shouldn't even be there.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of them that should be there.
Yeah.
But the one that shouldn't be there, they don't have a voice. They ain't got a way to fight.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
Nope.
So that kind of whole deal to me too, and it always will be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cause that's what made me a better person. You feel what I'm saying? So, I think I'm gonna ask for a tour. I think I'm gonna reach out to some people and ask them, can I get a tour? I'm curious to know what those sales look like.
Yeah, it's just a few. From what I recall, like I said, it's the holding cell. I feel like they have one or two, but you would have to confirm. And then they have the one, like if they have a teenager. And I'm just like, what are we doing?
What about our fire department? You think that our Athens Clark County Fire Department is doing a good job in that?
I do.
You just don't never hear that bad about the fire department.
I do. I can say this, but again, it's not about, that's my experiences, but anytime I've needed a first responder, whether it's like it was before my dad, that like for him, or any other, like even medical issues or emergency issues, and they've sent a fire personnel, it's always been efficient. It's always like professional, and it's like I've never necessarily walked away from that thinking like, oh, like what just happened, or like feeling bad about the interaction. I would love to see, and I know we're starting this, I would love to see that pipeline even with our students, and feeding into those programs. And actually we have students feeding into the fire and the police department. I would like to see them feed into other parts of the criminal justice system too, so that we can get new minds.
Yeah. I know this is going to be a topic at the next commission meeting. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about this fly trail that's going around, and the issues dealing with that? So, cause from my understanding, I'm reading that Commissioner Davenport don't want it to happen, because what I'm understanding, he's saying that to continue to build that fly trail, it's gonna take people homes, not land, in order to make it happen. I think they said like 8-9 yards or something. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I don't think you should build anything that's gonna take something from somebody that worked hard for it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's that eminent domain thing. But how do you feel about that issue right there?
I think there are a few different things that are worth talking about and keeping on our radar, even as we move forward, like beyond this issue. Mm-hmm. But one is like SPLOST, as we vote on these referendums and that whole process of how we do that. Yeah. Because oftentimes from the beginning of the idea, from concept to end, oftentimes so much time has passed that you all but know it's going to cost more, it's going to take longer, and something would have changed. But that's a different conversation about SPLOS and its areas of improvement. But I think that I think our community honestly needs to remain open and listen to the individuals whose homes are going to be impacted. Before we make another call, before we send another email, before we do anything else, even if at the end of that's what we end up doing, I think we need to recenter it on the humanity of the people that are going to be impacted the most. And that is those few, those individuals. And then after we come out of that, if people are like, yeah, we need to do it or we don't, maybe there are some alternatives. Maybe there are some alternatives, some alternative routes.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing. I'm not against beautifying the city. I think our city should look awesome. But anytime making our city look awesome takes away from people, I don't think that's beautiful. That's hurting people. And I see a lot of people that's fighting for this 5-5 trail or whatever, are people that moved to Athens. There are people, they're not born and raised in Athens. There are people that have moved to Athens that say, yeah, let's get it. And I'm going to this the hood part of me coming out. First of all, whatever city you moved from, if they didn't have it, why would you come here and want to implement it in Athens? Second of all, you still not thinking about the people who it's going to impact. You taking their land. You taking some of these people are elderly people that been in a comfort zone for a while. Why you want to disrupt that? Because you want to walk down a trail. I can take you, if you want to go to a trail, let me take you to some trail where they got homeless tents at. You can walk them all day and talk and have people to talk to. Walk them trails. You know what I'm saying? And then if you think about it, they building these trails, and who's on them? You don't got people that got killed on these trails and everything. You know what I'm saying? You got homeless people laying on their backpack, laying on the trail. Y'all don't see that part. I do. You know what I'm saying? How do I get a call from somebody on the fly trail? How do I get a call from somebody like that? So why you want this slab of concrete or whatever that looks so pretty going through it's hurt people too. It hurt people too. Like I said, I'm all for beautifying the city, but when you take it from people for it's like our pain is your gain. So I'm not against the trail. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it, but I'm with you. It should be some alternative that can happen in order to keep people from losing.
Yeah, I would love to see our commissioners, but then also the strong advocates reach out to families to the degree that they can and that the families are comfortable with that, but to listen, and perhaps out of that conversation may come alternatives. It may even be a compromise. Like part of it is looking at like what's being offered to, like you want to, because, and I can speak to this because they're going to be doing the sidewalk out here, but what are you offering people? Like, I'm not saying that even like, the history and the pride that's in people's homes are up for sale. But what I'm saying is like, when you sit down and listen to people, I think you have a better idea of what it is that they need. And you also have a better idea of like, is there a compromise somewhere in here? But then also we should, if there is an alternative route, we should be asking questions about the viability of that. Like, is this a real alternative route? What are the legal parameters that make this maybe not an alternative route or an alternative route? And I think that that's the appropriate step before we get to a place of like eminent domain with somebody's land. I think it goes back to the spirit of our community and the culture of our community. Hard decisions have to be made, but like, what steps do we take to make those hard decisions? And oftentimes it's not doing the extra work to reach out to people who we have not heard from because they may say something we don't want to hear.
I'm just gonna tell you, I don't see, and I could be wrong, but I don't see no person now that's running for mayor out of all four of y'all candidates. And I know all four of y'all. I don't see now one of y'all, probably one of them. I ain't gonna call no name, but I don't see now one of y'all taking nobody's property for a bike trip. I don't see that. I don't see that because y'all love y'all. If you love your community, you got to love your community. If you love your community and care about the people in the community, what's more important, for people to keep their property, their land, or for me to put a sidewalk through it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on now.
Yeah. And
like you just said, we need a sidewalk. I mean, look.
Yeah, and we do. We've seen how many people like go down here. It's
but
dangerous.
Who land would that take? If you put a sidewalk outside your building, who land would that take?
It was mine and I won't mention his name, but my neighbors. And so one of the things we've been doing is like communicating with the person who is representing the city. But it's like, but I can tell you that in the first parts of, well, let me just say, when we have these negotiations with people, don't come offering the least amount or the least resources. If we tap your a pipe, all that needs to be already, like, don't add to that family's or that homeowners or that property owners' stress and expenses. Mm-hmm. That's not, I understand it's a numbers game and it's business, but two, when you're working with particular populations, especially if they are, of age and elderly.
Last thing, and I'm gonna let you go because we 11 minutes up. But last thing, the charter. The charter been a big issue, and a lot of talks have started going to circulating about the charter, the Athens Clarke County Charter. Mm-hmm. If you become mayor of Athens, Georgia, would you be open to revamping the charter so it works fairly? And I think this charter was written in either the late 80s or the early 90s. Mm-hmm. It was even debate then. So about that charter. So one of the questions that was submitted to ask you was about the charter. Mm-hmm. Or if you become mayor, would you be open to revamping that charter?
That's a good question. I think there are many elements of the charter that have not quite panned out. Like, you have the spirit of this is what we say we're going to do. And then, the actual words of this is what we're going to do. And then you have in real life, what's actually happening. I would be open to conversations, but I also recognize that is not just heavy lifting, mm-hmm. but it took the charter several times to pass. And I'm not convinced, but I would love to be proven wrong. We can't quite yet agree and come to a consensus on things like whatever, inclusionary zoning, future land use, disparity study, what we need to do from here. And I just realized we didn't even talk about the gang issue, but like what we need to youth develop. I would be very surprised that we would be able to tackle the work of revamping the charter. Now, does it mean like there's not a need?
I ain't saying like if you make it today that this need to be done within the first year or 2 years. It's a 4-year term. So yeah. Before your 4-year term out, if this conversation is broached to you, would you be open to trying to, at least sit there?
I would definitely be open to listening. I think that also it would take work of the commissioners, and it would take just a significant feedback from the community. Again, not the people that are always, but as many people as we can. but then that also takes, healthy, relationships and things like that. So yeah, I would be open to listening,
Okay.
and exploring that. I just don't want to. I don't want to mislead anyone and say, yes, we would do this the first year, and then we would change it. First, knowing the history of the charter and how long it actually, and just sort of the experiences and the history with getting it passed. Um, but then also understanding what I've observed in our community, and sometimes we have difficulties being able to unify around common purposes.
Oh, last thing, I got to get this in before we go. Gang activity.
Yes, I just
I know you wait on that.
No.
So gang activity in Athens, Georgia is on the rise. I think we all know that. My my take on why it's rising, because kids, younger generation, they looking for a sense of identity. To me, that's how I feel. Now, I talk to a lot of trouble team. I mean, somebody just called me the other day and asked me would I come talk to their football team. But I talk to a lot of trouble team. I know what they're going through. What are your take on the gang stuff that's going on in Athens, Georgia?
I think that, let me say, I don't think that I don't think kids wake up and decide, I'm going to go and join a gang or be a menace. Or I don't think parents have a child and bring them from the hospital and say, yeah, let me figure out how I can just raise a person that's going to, I think that we have to humanize people. It does not mean that we cannot hold individuals accountable for their actions, or I should say, and one of the things that we hear a lot, I hear this especially working with children, it starts at home. It starts at home.
I can't agree with that. I can't.
Well, but that's sort of everyone's go-to. And it's like, well, okay, but let's just say let's say it starts at home. It doesn't stop at home though. Like, our kids go to schools, they engage with the community, and if they are not being poured into, one, you're going to have a problem. Two, if this were true, like, or whatever, if we say it starts at home, but as a community and leaders, we're not making the conditions better for the home that it starts in. So I can't.
But I want you to think about this right here. I know for a fact, and you probably do too, that some of these kids that circle off into these gangs, they got a good home. They got a mom there, they got a dad there, and they got everything that they need there. So how's it starting at home? What made it start at home?
I think that's the case. And I think we see like a mix, like a diversity of different people represented.
Yeah.
But I think think about our community. Okay. Think about our community. And we have a few like social and, programs that are really strong program for children, right?
To stop them from getting in gang.
That help with identity development is what is, that sort of pour into positive identity development. But I don't know that our kids feel like they're a part of Athens. It's nothing like.
I didn't even have to see it.
I don't know that they see themselves here as an integral part of Athens. Like, when you walk down, and I'm taking extremes here, so I don't mean, but say if there's a little girl or a little boy, you walk down Millage or these areas, you never see any young person really that looks like you. You don't really you wouldn't dare venture into downtown unless you're down there with your grandma or your aunt or there's not much here that says you belong here. We want you as a part of like every part of who we are, from our systems, from our jobs, from our not just schools. And you can tell that by a lot of the comments that people make about Clark County schools. They don't really, many people don't see the children in our county and in our homes and in our neighborhoods. I don't even know that they see them as a part of our Athens community. So if you don't see them as a part of the community, and then they have internalized that and they don't see themselves, they're going to look for community. They're going to look for community, and they're going to look for belonging. They're going to look for a place that they have some power and an element of freedom. And so somewhere they're not able to find that either beyond the home or in the home in our larger community.
You hit it on the head. You hit it on. Now, I see that's your little specialty right there, because you hit that on the head. But how do we get our kids more engaged? How do we let our kids know that they care? Mm-hmm. I mean, because right now they're not seeing it. Like, you said it yourself. They're not seeing it. So how? And God knows I love kids so much. But how do we let them know that they matter? Because they do matter. I mean, that's our, think about it, Dr. Gantt. That's our future. Yeah. What happens after we gone determines on what we're doing now for our generation behind us. Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? So, I mean.
We don't really, if you think about our community, we're pretty divided. And so I don't know that you can develop the child without working to develop the family and creating a good relationship with families and communities. And so there are a lot of us that we will ride past neighborhoods or whatever. And I don't mean like bad neighborhood, but we will ride past places. We do our same things every day. All the things that center around us. Go to work. We might do a few leisure activities, but when we do the leisure activities, we're not breaking outside of that comfort zone. Some of us go to church, and the church looks exactly like there's no diversity there. And then the rest of our time is not spent cultivating community, like with families. Mm-hmm. And so I don't, that's more like a long-term project that I really would love to see us do more community unifying things. It's not going to fix gangs. No. But what I'm saying is the more we otherize people and be like, well, that's just them. Well, you miss the opportunity to figure out, why is this child doing this? And what might they need? What are they looking for? Why is it that, just why is it that I'm not seeing, why don't kids see themselves here? My kids told me the first two when they were going to college, there's nothing here in Athens for me.
If people just knew, like you were saying, step out of your comfort zone. If people just knew, if they could step out of their comfort zone to help that one individual, be a part of this, or the movement that people are trying to create to help our youth that's growing up, yeah. You might have just stopped the next school shooting. Yeah. You might have just stopped the next kid from getting killed. Yeah. You just never know. You'll never know unless you get out of your comfort zone. Yeah. And be a part of it.
But that costs. It costs energy. It costs time.
Nothing comes easy.
It doesn't. But we not just Athens, but this is national. There's a lot of money to be made off of people's pain and suffering.
I hate that.
I do too. And I feel like every time I open my mouth, I keep getting darker and darker. But it's the reality, and we have to intentionally fight. There's money to be made when we are locking kids up. There is money to be made when a child or a family engages in this, and we can say, yeah, we have this problem. There's money to be made off of other people's poverty. And so
I see it all the time.
How do we fix it? I don't know that it's not a one solution thing. But I do think part of it is shifting our philosophy in understanding, how do we create a climate and culture here in Athens where our kids and our families begin to see that they belong anywhere. It's not just that they belong here over off of, Hawthorne, but they can't go downtown, or they can't really walk on, go
I
here.
wonder who started that narrative. We ain't allowed downtown. You from back in the day, so we ran downtown.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't before the University of Georgia started winning all these championships.
Well,
you remember that? You might be old enough to remember. Do you remember the game room that used to be down on the corner? You know where the Chick-fil-A at now?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be the biggest game room. The biggest game room in Athens. See, that for your time.
I don't remember that. The only game room I remember is, I think it's a few, but it used to be one at the mall.
So that's the new version. So back in the day, that was back when we stayed on Martin Luther King. We used to get off the bus and walk, because we went that was going to Alps Road. We'd get off the bus and walk uptown, all the black kids. We'll leave Central Athens. It used to be Central Athens. We'll leave Central Athens and walk uptown and go to the game room. And it sat right there, right where Chick-fil-A at. If you put it up, you probably can find it on a map somewhere, but that used to be the biggest game room in Athens right there on that corner. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember.
But all of us would meet up. So Pardo would meet up there, Bethlehem meet up there, Rock Spring, and the whole, it was so beautiful because everybody in there, they were kids, and our mama and them didn't care about us going there to that game room. But, I ain't never had no quarter to play, so I had to ride with I had to ride along with other people. But that used to be the big game. If anybody you talk to, they'll tell you that used to be the big game room. But that when kids had something to do, they ain't got nothing to do now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's a lot of programs that are trying, but like as a part of the fabric, you know what I mean, of our county. What do our children like? We used to walk to Bishop Park a lot, hop in the pool, catch the bus to the mall. I mean, like that. But like the fabric of our community, I don't know that it really reflects. It tells our kids like you belong here, so they look for other places.
Okay. So I know that's going to be one of the issues if you elected that you're going to be talking, because I know you got a passion for kids.
Yeah, so. I hope that we can look at some creative ways to, one, strengthen that relationship with the school district, but then from there, then really work towards like sort of building our communities up like families, sort of like families and neighborhoods at a time.
Okay. Any last thing you want to leave with our viewers? And this gonna be shared everywhere. It's gonna be on Spotify. It's gonna be everywhere. So, a lot of people might want to reach out to you for questions, concern. And if we get any more questions, text our organization phone. I'll send them to you. Okay. So you can because you probably gonna be on a whole bunch of different platforms before it's over with. So.
I'm not sure, but no. So thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I can't think of any like topics that we've covered a lot of them. I would just encourage voters. A few things. One, if you're not registered to vote, register to vote. If you need information on that, I can get you information on registering to vote. If you have not voted in a while, double check to be sure that you have not been purged.
Yeah.
Also, get to know all of the candidates. And as you start to figure out who do I want to vote for here, gather information about them. Look at the things they've done publicly. Ask about the things they haven't done publicly, because many of us, do a lot of things that are just, they're not always in the public eye. And make your voting decision based on who you believe will better our community, will work to better our community, even if it's not popular, even if they have to do hard things. Vote for that person and the person that is like connected to just the everyday life of just regular people. So I strongly encourage you to look across our candidates and be sure that you're making informed decisions based on that.
And you know what? That was spoken like a real respectful woman that has respect for everybody, because you ain't telling people just to vote for Lakeisha Gantt. You telling them to get out to know the candidates and see the work.
You got to.
I mean, I respect you for that. I respect you for that. Cause that's real right there. Because I'd have been, if I was running right now, you know what I've been saying?
Vote for me. I mean,
y'all, so
I mean,
hard, y'all.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Of course, I want your vote, and but I want to work to earn your vote. But I also want to be as transparent and genuine as I can, so that you know who you're voting for. So.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. I think it was an awesome interview.
Thank you for having me.
Man, but keep doing. I mean, like you are now a part of a school board on Dr. Gantt. Keep doing the fight that we need to make it happen, to make our city better.
Definitely will.
Because you hold a very important part of our city now with our youth that's coming in. So, man, keep doing that. Man.
Definitely will. Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right. So, guys, there you have it. Dr. Lakeisha Gantt, man. We got her right here on the show, man. Good interview. You can tell she has a passion for this community, the community she was raised in. So, if they want to know more about you, got a website?
I do. LakeishaForAthens.com.
LakeishaForAthens.com. You can always go to her website. Can they send you messages and stuff on
Yep, you can send, you can contact us through the website. You can donate through the website, and they can sign up to volunteer.
There you go. So you need volunteers.
Oh yes. And we've had a really good response, but we need as many as we can get.
Okay.
We need volunteers, donations, and we want you. You know, as my kids say, we need you to lock in. We need you to lock in and plug in, to the campaign and the changes that we're advocating for.
So as the time go along, as we get closer and closer to this candidate thing, we're gonna be hearing more from you.
Yep.
Because I'm quite sure some of the things that you're focusing on now are probably gonna change before. I mean, because you never know what's gonna happen. Before that time comes.
That's right. So. Yeah, we have a very dynamic team of community members that are helping, even as we build out the platform areas for the campaign, which are wages, housing, and general community uplift, some of the things that we've actually talked about, youth and stuff like that. And small businesses, but we are working to just developing and continuing to listen. We have some town hall scheduled that we're just sort of finalizing some things. So you'll see that pushed out. We have some listening tours scheduled. And so, yeah, we are we're boots on the ground.
Hey, that's awesome. I mean, that's the type of person that we do need for our next mayor, somebody that knows this community. If you know this community, I mean, I think it's a win. But thank you so much, man, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so
much.
So,
guys, Dr. Lakeisha Gantt right here. It's Lakeisha Gantt for Athens.
Lakeisha for Athens.
Lakeisha for Athens.
Yeah.
That's her website. If you have any question or concern, you want to donate, or you want to support, she's looking for volunteers, she's looking for donations. So go to her website. I'm quite sure she probably has a social media page.
That's right. Yep. You should see we're there on Facebook.
Lakeisha for Athens,
Mayor.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Lakeisha for Athens Mayor. And so if you search it, it'll come up.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So there you have it, guys. Up next, we're gonna have October the 10th. We're gonna have Miss Michelle Pearson.
Oh, wonderful.
Coming on. And we're gonna talk about some good stuff. So thank you for coming.
Wonderful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.